do you know how many businesses that you've started to this day?
I would need to count them. Just give me 1 second.
Mm.
Yeah. And most of them didn't work out.
Wow.
Right? So,
I knew it was going to be a lot after you had to take the pause to count, but that's, wow. Thank you for being here, man. We met in Bulgaria, in Bansko, a few months ago, just shared a dinner, I think at Station.
Yeah.
With Chris and Sam. Remembered that you had a really interesting story, and then Chris, when I was asking him for other people to potentially come on the podcast, you were one of the first names he brought up.
Nice.
And I was doing a little bit of research on some questions to ask for you, because you have a very interesting entrepreneurship journey, it seems like. At what age do you think you knew that you were meant for entrepreneurship? Like, at what age do you think you got that initial spark?
I was really young. Yeah. Since I was a kid. For me, it was basically clear the whole time. I come from a family in which most people, like my parents, my dad, my grandparents on both sides, they always tried to build something for themselves. So I was always inspired. And I have a Mexican background. I grew up in Mexico. And working conditions are not ideal in comparison to other countries.
Okay. For an employee, you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah. It's been getting better and better. That's my understanding. It's been a while since I haven't been there. But for me, it was like, okay, it's the only way that I can achieve the lifestyle that I want to achieve. It's through entrepreneurship. So.
And I think I read your first business was like at 17, your first one or something?
Yeah.
A t-shirt stand, was it?
Yeah. Wow. You did some research. Yeah. Wow. That was my first actual business. Yeah. Was a t-shirt stand on the cruise terminal in Mazatlan, where I grew up. My dad was already in the t-shirt business.
Okay.
So I had a contact to get merchandise on a good price. And I knew the person that had that stall. It was a stall, like a kiosk. So I was able to use the space and had good conditions to get started. It was also nice because I had a partnership with the Red Cross.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I was there, and I was moving some merchandise that they used to get as a donation, and we were sharing all of the profit. At the end of the day, it was so crazy. I was 17 and I was handling 3 employees.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I paid for my university.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any of those t-shirts to date that you wear around as like a little keepsake?
My wife uses one for sleeping.
Okay.
It's been a long time. It's been 20 years. Yeah.
That's awesome. 17, starting your first business, and you're managing 3 people.
Yeah.
Like, how did that go? I mean, what did you learn or take away from way back then, do you think?
That's a good question. I think at the moment I was more focused on just get it going, and trying to find a way of make some savings. I already knew that I was moving to a different city for university. So it was important for me to build some kind of base financially. I think I had the access to these contacts, and using that was something that really helped. And at the moment, I didn't really have it in so clear. When I looking back, it's one of the things, like using those resources, that network.
Sure.
It actually made everything possible. The other thing was to know how important it is to have a USP, a unique selling proposition. Because in my case, those t-shirts that I was having, everybody had the same t-shirts.
Mm.
and it's a cruise terminal. So you got like, I don't know, 20 different stores, all of them selling the same stuff, t-shirts, caps, hats, with Mazatlan embroidered on the
Right.
t-shirt. So the only way I was able to differentiate was to be saying, hey, some of this is going to the Red Cross.
Mm.
So at the end, that worked out really well. People connected way more. And it was a win-win-win for everybody. For me, it was great. For the Red Cross, they were moving some stuff that it was some were hitting in a warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
And they were getting a good part of the profit. And for the people buying, they were also having the sense of, okay, we're supporting the local community. So everybody was happy. Yeah.
It's so true. I guess it's something that you overlook a lot, but you see it all the time. Like just last night, we went to the big Sunday night market in Chiang Mai.
Yeah.
So if anybody's ever been to Chiang Mai or hasn't, basically every Sunday, it's grown every year. I was here probably 7 years ago, and it was big, but not anything like it is now. Just thousands of people on the streets, stalls everywhere, and a lot of the stalls have similar things,
Mm-hmm.
right? And some are a little bit busier than others, but generally, you kind of pass by, especially after you've seen the third stall of whatever X thing. You're like, I'm not going to look at this again.
Yeah.
But then you walk by something that could be a very, very similar stall, but maybe they have a story. Like last night, I'm actually remembering there was this place that was selling like a pancake type of thing. And they just had a big sign that it was like their grandpa started it in this big story. And it looked very similar to a lot of other, offerings, but they had just a giant line.
Yeah.
And so I think we see that all the time, especially if you're in maybe a country or something like that, where you do have a lot of these like stalls, farmers market, whatever it is. But I just think we maybe overlook it or forget about that when we're doing it ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely a thing. For me, it was also very important to notice, and I'm really grateful for that experience, because it was the time that I understood that if we're also providing value not just for the business and the customer, but for society, for someone else, that sticks, and the perceived value of the whole thing, the product, the service, the people involved, goes higher. So it's great for everybody. Yeah.
And so you said that helped pay for your university.
Yeah.
Was that in a different part of Mexico, or is that when you moved abroad?
No, that was in a different part of Mexico. So I grew up in Mazatlan, and my studies I did it in Guadalajara.
Okay.
So I was there for 8 years.
Okay.
And then
and you started another business.
Yeah.
Was it during university or after?
During university.
Okay.
So the first 6 months I was entirely focused on my studies. First semester. Afterwards, even the studies, for me, it was like I chose my program based on, okay, which of these will give me the best tools that I will need for my businesses. And after 6 months, I was already kind of bored. I had already, like, this t-shirt stall was the first business on my own, but I also had some working experience even previously. So I was already looking for something else to do. And second semester, I started with, it was a type of a marketing company in which we provided a platform, digital platform, and coupons. It's like, have you heard of Groupon?
Yeah. Yep.
It's basically Groupon, but made in Mexico. And we actually had like physical cards. So for the owner of the card, they would have access to this coupon. So it was more like a membership based coupon. That was going well for the first 6 months. I think it was 6 months, and then there was that was a proper job offer, and it was international. So I was being able to jump around between Mexico and the US, based in Mexico.
Okay.
The company was transnational. So it was, for me, very interesting to see what they were doing. And I remember speaking to my dad about it, and he was like, if you get it, you will probably learn a lot that you can then implement. And that was the reason why I ended up getting it. I tried to do the three things at once, handle studies and then the company and then the job. That didn't work out. After maybe a year and a half, I quit my job, sold my shares of the company, of the marketing company. It was a very small thing, but for me, it was the first experience in selling an actual business. And I used that capital to start the next company.
Okay.
So that was a SaaS company so Mexico was changing the way they collected or they registered invoices. It used to be on paper, and the law was changing for it to be digital. So we partnered up with a software company that developed the software. We partnered also with a group of accountants, and we were making that connection because every taxpayer in Mexico would need that kind of software.
Okay.
So we built a distribution network for that, and that was, I think, the most important business that I had in Mexico, the last one as well in the country, and that's for me the biggest corporation. It ended up to be almost 400 employees.
Wow.
I was 21 at the moment, 22. So it was a very steep learning curve. Also talking with, people that had much more experience than I had, trying to understand the different perspectives, the accounting part, but also the technical part, and then selling to different teams and corporates. So it was a very rich experience.
So just to clarify, was it at 400 people when you left, or it later got to that?
No.
And you left?
When I left, yeah.
Wow. In 21?
Yeah, so we started when I was 21. I left when I was 25. So it got to 300 employees when I was 23. And then when I left, it was already 400. Yeah. We had 40 distributors. It was very intense. I was traveling a lot.
I'm curious now for you looking back. I mean, for guys, especially for we don't really hit our full adulthood until much later. Our brains are still developing until 25.
Yeah.
I'm curious to do that at such a young age and so much responsibility so quickly. Do you look back and be like, I was just so immature and I did this wrong? Or did it just make you grow up extremely fast and you maybe skipped a lot of development phases? I'm just curious, looking back on that era.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's the second one. So I did get a lot of experience and learn a lot, and it pushed me as well to, grow up and train people and also manage people that were almost triple my age, with much more experience than I had. So that kind of, I remember taking a lot of courses and classes and talking to coaches, doing a lot of programming to myself. I remember writing phrases in the mirror, very, very, right now when I look at it, it's okay, it's a good skill set, but it was born from various extreme situations.
Sure.
And for me afterwards, if I look back, I did sacrifice quite a lot. My relationship suffered. My life quality suffered. I gained weight. I wasn't able to work out. It was full-time just work. And if I think about it, it's like having years of tunnel vision nonstop. So very high level of stress, full focus, the whole time. So I don't think I got close to a burnout because I had a lot of energy. So that's great, right? At that age, I wouldn't be able to do it right now. But there's a lot of things around that situation that definitely suffered.
Mm-hmm.
And for me right now, or after that experience, when I'm looking at different business projects and how I want to use my time, what I want to prioritize, I make those decisions knowing the amount of pressure and work that I can get done.
Okay.
And knowing, okay, am I able to take a step back and keep the balance between work and everything else in this particular project? How much work and energy is this going to take?
Mm-hmm.
Am I prepared to put in that energy and that time?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the key learnings of that experience. Yeah.
Do you remember any of those quotes that you had written on the mirror?
No, not really. Yeah, not really. But it was like, the typical stuff. Okay,
Sure.
you get up and you don't get it done.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like neurolinguistics programming. Like, you're brushing your teeth and you're looking at a phrase, looking yourself in the mirror, then a phrase.
Yeah.
You'll get it. Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In that one, did you sell on that one as well?
Yeah.
And then so you took that learning of maybe learning how to step back and the next one to not get to that maybe potential stage of burnout for you in a later age. What was the business that you were really able to implement that at? Was it like the very next one or did it take some time?
That's a really good question. I think it was not the next one, but it was, so when that business, we were the biggest distributor of that network in the country. And so Colombia wanted to replicate the model and the Colombian government. So I was invited to a conference to open up Colombia as a country. And I was in Medellin the first time for maybe 5 or 6 days. And then I took a week off. And it was the first time I took a week off in, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. And I went to Cartagena. I remember looking at the ocean and thinking to myself, this was actually the goal. The whole business was thought to be a SaaS with a monthly membership. So it comes to a certain user base and you can just step back, right? So I am working quite a lot. And if I move forward with this and open up Colombia, it's never ending. It's a whole new country. There's plenty to do in Mexico. Argentina is coming. Chile was already developing it. It was,
Yeah.
So at that point, I took the decision to leave. That was in November. I came back, and within a week, I was telling everybody, "Okay, I'm leaving in May, so we'll set it up." And that was it. And for me, I came to a phase in which I wanted to focus on different areas of my life. So I started backpacking, and I did that for a couple of years. So, I was taking jobs every now and then, gigs, I would say, on the road. But so it was a major change, life change.
Yeah.
So I think that intensity of life never really changed. It's just the intensity was focused on different life areas.
Do you remember any of those odd jobs that you took while you were backpacking?
Everything from bartending to hostels to helping up in farms. It depended. Like sometimes, I remember being back in Colombia. So I started that backpack trip from the US, going all the way down I made my way to Peru.
Okay.
And so, for example, in Costa Rica, I ended up in the most beautiful coffee farm. It was in the middle of the jungle, beautiful place, and they needed help. And I was like, I really like this place. Maybe I can just stay here, help out. Great experience working with your hands, using your back. It was great. And I replicated that experience also in a coffee farm in Colombia. I remember one of the odd jobs. I was in Panama on the coast, on the Caribbean. And I was trying to find a way to get from Panama to Colombia.
Okay.
My only rule was no flights. And going through that jungle, it's basically impossible. You're risking your life, basically. And it was really hard to get on a boat, on a ferry. So I remember I was on a bar, like talking to the bartender, and then someone sits on the side, and we started talking. He was from Argentina, and he was like, "So what are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I'm trying to find a way to get to Colombia." Oh, really? Okay. So I work on a sailboat, and we know somebody that works as a translator. Helps out in the kitchen. The captain was French, and he didn't speak Spanish, and I speak both languages.
Okay.
So I was able to just jump in on a sailboat, and that was really odd as a job because I was basically translating and just helping out with the kitchen. And that took maybe like a week, 10 days, moving from Panama to Colombia, hopping up on islands. So it was a great experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Such a 180 from managing 400 people, never taking a break, to 3 years, odd jobs, backpacking, just working with your hands.
Yeah.
You later got back into entrepreneurship, but I'm curious if what did that journey or time in your life really teach you for when you eventually got back into it?
That's a great question. So I think one of the major things was how I want to balance it out. How is my life, my dream life? How does it look like? I learned during my trips that I'm curious. I'm naturally curious. And I like to discover places and talk to people. So I'm not able to stay in one place for the rest of my life. And if I'm taking holidays, for me, it's usually not enough. So I rather spend longer in a place, dive deep into the culture, work from there, even if I'm not working for a national company or in a normal job. So that's like the design of my life got clearer on that phase. So yeah, that's one of the major learnings. Also, a deeper understanding of cross-culture communication and understanding.
Okay.
Being more open to very odd ideas, which can translate into innovation. So I think so.
Do any of those come to mind when you talk about that, the cross-cultural ideas and stuff like this?
Yeah. So right now, for example, in my actual company, I don't have employees. That's also a key learning.
Wow.
I rather work with agencies and freelancers, but not employees. It takes a lot of pressure away, and it also I think it gives both sides a certain type of flexibility. And when it's appreciated on both sides, then it's great. So most of the people that I work with come from different countries, different languages, and that cross-cultural communication and the way teams work together, harnessing. Some cultures have a tendency to be very specific in some working areas.
Okay.
So if you get to harness that part, it's a very holistic team. It's great.
And so you had this 3-year experience. Was it right then that you started nomading, or when you went to Germany? Kind of walk us maybe through that next phase.
Yeah. So I would say backpacking was the start.
Okay.
I already had a few trips also backpacking, so I already knew that I liked it. During that trip, I noticed that it wasn't going to be sustainable. The speed of movement is, it gets weary.
Yeah.
You get tired. And also, I remember I set a goal for myself. I want to be able to spend as long as I want, wherever I want. That was the goal. If I like the place, I want to be able to stay. At the moment, I'm ready to switch, find a way to earn a living and go wherever I want to go. So that happened more or less at the same time in which I was highly motivated to go to Germany. There was a girl in between.
Okay.
That didn't work out. The relationship didn't work out within a couple of months. But when I made that plan, I was thinking, okay, I'm already going to Germany. It's gonna take a certain amount of time, resources, whatever. How can I make the most out of the situation independently to that relationship? Because we didn't know. So following that strategy or that goal to be able to open that door and stay as long as I wanted, I made a plan in which, okay, if I go for studies and I successfully finish the studies, then I can apply for a different type and then a different type and a different type of residency. Eventually, I might get an European passport and then Europe is open for as long as I want. So that was the plan. That's how I took a pause on nomading or traveling, backpacking for a master's degree in Mainz in Germany. I picked that specific university because it was 8 months in Germany and then the rest somewhere else. And I get to choose where.
Okay.
And they had a lot of partnerships with Southeast Asia. I hadn't been there before. So that's how it worked. 8 months a bit less than 8 months in Mainz, and then Malaysia. So I stayed in Malaysia for 1 full semester. And that's where I met my actual wife. We were studying together. She's German. And in Malaysia, I fell in love with Southeast Asia. For me, it's still my favorite corner. After that pause, I got back to backpacking with my now wife. So we were traveling, the both of us. We did maybe 8 to 10 months in Southeast Asia. Did a scan. And then we got a different job offer. So my wife had a family company, like her grandfather started a company in tennis construction, like tennis fields, tennis courts.
Okay.
And it was, there was a lot of opportunity. It was for me very interesting to see everything that you can do, like how business in Germany are done. It's like day and night in comparison to Mexico. So for me, it was like, wow, there's so much to be done. So we can actually build this because the company was, surviving, I would say.
Sure.
There was a lot of potential. They lacked the vision. And they didn't know how to grow. And that's exactly what I did on my last company in Mexico. Grow from an idea to 400. So I'm pretty sure I'll find a way. And it was for me a great experience to, understand the working culture of Germany, which is quite different. It's very specific. Getting the rules and learning the language. So that was a great experience. At the end, we did build up the company with the plan to sell it. We were buying it. They decided not to sell it to us. That was a family situation. That was also a phase of a lot of work. It was a conscious decision. Okay, we're gonna put a lot of energy into this for like 1 year, 1 year and a half. But then we can step back, manage it remotely. That was the plan. When they decided and they notified us that they were going to be selling it to someone else, that's when I was, okay, then the next company that I start needs to be from the ground up, solo, no employees, no partners. I'm going to make the decisions by myself depending on my priorities and my values. And it needs to be 100% digital. I need to be able to handle it from wherever I want. For me, it was like an investment in Germany, trying to get this company, which didn't work out, didn't pay off. It was kind of like a lost year in the life that I was already trying to build for myself. So I was thinking, okay, I need to make it back, get another head start and compensate for this time. Okay. I looked into different business models, and e-commerce was the one that I was most attracted to. So I had a first go moving products from Mexico to Europe and selling them online. That didn't work out. I did get an understanding of how it works. So on my second go, I started a company which is now based in the US. And basically similar. Still, some of the suppliers were in Mexico. We still work together. Indigenous people, by the way. I stuck with that idea of giving back. And that second go worked out. So that was the first e-commerce brand that I built. And at some point I was like, wow, this actually works. I can manage this company from whatever. And there's more people should know about this. So I started teaching people to do e-commerce, Spanish speakers. I wanted to support Latin Americans and in general Spanish speakers to be able to improve on their life quality, being able to sell everywhere from anywhere. And so this is, right now I still handle my e-commerce brands, but I would say maybe 70% of my time goes into supporting new entrepreneurs that want to build their own brands.
Wow. A lot of questions come from that. So you said you had the one company that you tried to Europe and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
I think I was reading, maybe you didn't touch them all, but maybe you had a few other companies before that maybe didn't work out.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm curious on that. Like, you have something that fails or that doesn't go the way you want to go.
Yeah.
I'm curious on the mindset piece for you of, okay, I'm just going to pick back up and do the next one. Or did you learn for each one? Was there a period, elongated period that you were down and maybe doubted entrepreneurship or something? I'm just curious on those parts.
That's a great question. And I think it's an understatement to say that I was down. It's also one of those topics that I think in the entrepreneurial bubble, we don't talk enough about failures. And we put a lot of attention into the success stories. And I remember being so low that I started looking at statistics. And so how many companies fail for one to work? So it depends on the country.
Sure.
So in Mexico, for example, 7 out of 10 at that point didn't make the first year. 9 from those 10 didn't make the third year. So it's 10% in Mexico. I also looked it up in Germany. It was a bit better, but I think that's 70%.
Mm.
So I started thinking, okay, how many I need? It's just statistics. I need to fail enough to make one win. And if I'm launching now new products, I know there's a percentage that is not going to work. And even if I put all of the resources, time, research, money, the probabilities is statistical, so you can get as much information as you can, and you can back it up as, if you have more resources, then probability might change, but it's not centered. Like it's not, there's no guarantee. And I think a big part of entrepreneurship is just getting comfortable with failure, and knowing that you're gonna get your fair share.
Yeah.
So that took a while for me to understand, because I did have in between the t-shirt business and the SaaS company, I had already a couple that didn't work out. Between, for me, like the part of the German company, the construction company that we were looking to buy, the results of the company they were a major success, but the goal of the project was a major fail. It was very draining. I was depleted afterwards. And then, I decided for e-commerce, but I tend not to put all of my chips into one thing. So I tried several things in between. And I remember when the first e-commerce brand, the one that I launched in Europe, was not working out. I was also very stressed because I had to handle part of the legal part. That was a joint venture with my wife. Okay. So she was taking most of the responsibility into, understanding the accounting, understanding the legal. But I mean, it's a relationship. We were together, and it's also my business. So I was also impacted, to say the least. Yeah. And that was very draining. And when that didn't work out, I was seriously considering of maybe I'm not built for entrepreneurship. Maybe I should just get a job in Germany and settle down. Maybe it's a failure, like a major failure. Maybe I'm overestimating myself. So I think it's a topic that we need to be open as well to talk about, get comfortable with, and get support as well. I also have the feeling that as entrepreneurs, at least in my experience as a solo entrepreneur, we have a tendency, or I have a tendency, on just keep on going by myself. Issues, asking for help, opening up to hard conversations and discussions. And that's, I think that at the end that slows down your own projects, or at least that's my take. That's my experience.
I appreciate you sharing. It's excuse me. It's one of the things that I've enjoyed talking to people so far on the podcast. As I told you before we started taping, in about a month, I'm hoping to launch my own business, and talking to people like you, it's very grounding for me. I'm trying to keep a certain level of expectations because nobody was an overnight success. I don't think that really exists. Yeah. The minimum was 2 years to even make any money or any success, to 12 years to really it going off. And I know there's going to be things I start and nobody will sign up for, nobody will purchase. So it's a mindset that's helping me going into it. I'm sure when it actually happens, that's going to be a whole nother battle. But I think it's really important to highlight these parts that is just a part of the journey, right? There is no straight up and to the right trajectory all the time, overnight success. Hey, I have an idea the next day. Millionaire. You know? So I really appreciate the honesty with all that. And I'm curious with that, Alvaro, like you had multiple business where you decided to sell, or you said maybe were failures. At what point do you know that it's something that you need to stop and just say, hey, this isn't going to work out, versus, no, I need to get back up again and keep going, right? Because I think that can be a balance, right? Because you hear that all the time in entrepreneurship, where you're kind of, one more effort and maybe then you get to the golden zone or something like that after, right? Like you need to keep kind of getting up after you get hit.
Yeah.
But then the other side is, well, when are you just digging yourself further and further into a hole that there's nothing, going to? I'm curious, like, what your thought is and how to know which one that is for you.
Yeah. That's also a very good question. I think there might be a few factors in between. One of them, it's the personality. I think it has a lot to do with it. How much we are able to stick to it. Me personally, I usually have my pain point is to know when to stop. Not when I'm selling it. If I'm selling it, then for me it's a success. Okay. I built something, created the value, and got something in exchange. But when it's a failure, sometimes it's hard to say, okay, it's over, let it go. And I think that's project related, at least in my experience.
Okay.
In some cases, there is some feedback from the market. And so for me, that's like a confirmation that something in the business plan or the idea is valid. But when that response is not enough, that part, like saying, okay, I'm getting there, I know there's something here. I just cannot pinpoint it. That's a tricky part for me. So in some of the cases, what's has worked for me is to put deadlines in different areas of the business.
Okay.
If this is not generating so many customers in this period of time, if this is taking more than so many months in the planning, if point of equilibrium, for example, it's not reached within 90 days, depends on the project. Sometimes it's 60 days, sometimes it's 90 days, sometimes it's longer. And for me, sometimes it's also like there are some projects in which capital can accelerate that point.
Okay.
So I need to be very aware of how much money I'm putting in and how much that money is going to accelerate that growth. So sometimes capital is not available for all of the projects that I want to do. So I need to restrict myself in how am I using that resource. And know as well that might slow things down. But if I'm seeing clearly that there are some results, then I keep on going. So yeah, I think it's very project specific. There's one concept of I think it's called the entrepreneurial, like if you see like the entrepreneurial journey, you have like different phases. You go from idea to planning to launching, blah, 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 MVP. There's a point in between, which I know it as the desert. And so you're already there. You're putting yourself out there. The product is already there. You're maybe running even ads. You're having expenses and you're not getting customers. And sometimes it's not about the product. Sometimes it's just how you communicate it. Sometimes you start with the project from the problem and from the customer's perspective. and that might accelerate a little bit. Sometimes it's just something you think you might, might be a good product or might be a big enough problem for you to solve. And then you go straight out of your intuition. And sometimes it's a complete fail. Sometimes you notice, oh, you know what? Instead of talking to this type of customer, I should be talking to this other type. And that testing phase might take a couple of months. And that, at least for me, it's the hardest part. Because you're not sure, you're already invested, you're already putting the time and the energy. Sometimes you're bleeding cash. And that part of, should I keep on going or not? So for me, it helps to have like different deadlines on different areas to know it's reached and it's capped and that's it. Let it go.
Yeah. You said when you were working for the German construction company, you were working with your now wife.
Yeah.
So when I left the company, I started helping Paige with her business a little bit. And now we're starting to do mine. I'm still going to be helping her, but we're deciding on like exactly how much I'll be helping her, and probably be focusing more on mine for a bit. She might be taking a little break. How is it doing a business with your partner? Is there anything that you learned from that experience? Would you do that again? Any things that you had really good boundaries with? I'm curious to like your experience with that.
Yeah. So in our case, I think the cultural part has a big influence because it's a big difference between Germany and Mexico. Like how you handle conversations are different. The way you communicate, how you prioritize, the different resources that are available for different cultures, for both cultures, are very different. So that has a big role. And at the beginning, in some of the stuff, it's quite complementary. So I was I've never been a fan of doing the stuff that is more administration, and I really like analysis, and I like looking at numbers and drawing conclusions. But if it's accounting, the small print on a legal stuff in German, it's like, no, okay, it's not something I want to deal with. And then it was take it for granted. It's a second language. It's a hard language. Business German is like another step up. So it was kind of implicit. Okay, Stella's going to take care of it. And I can't recall if we even had the conversation. It was kind of obvious because I wasn't equipped to take care of that part. We found out that she also doesn't like it.
Okay.
So, and then that kind of separating role and responsibilities, I believe that it should be decided in a different way. And I think that's a very obvious example, but that can also translate within couples that come from the same culture. Sometimes you can say, yeah, you know what, I'm more creative, and you're more analytical. That doesn't mean that the creative person can do all of the creative for whatever meta campaigns, or that the analytical person can run all of the finances. So I think that kind of decisions, who's taking care of what, it needs to be more based on personality and like clearly spoken. And if you need someone else to jump in and take care of some stuff, it's better to get someone else. That, at least that's my experience. The other thing that is very important is It was a bit of a tricky situation because part of it was during COVID. So just picture, it's winter in Germany. We were living in it was like a loft. It was really hard to get a place. It was in Cologne. So like rentals were already super tricky. Nobody's is moving, pure lockdown. So one space for the couple and cooking and sleeping and working and having calls, not being able to go out to work out. It was already a very potentially stressful situation and setup.
Sure.
So that was challenging. On top of that, I do believe that if you're having businesses with your partners, it's hard to set up boundaries and deciding, okay, this is not business time. This is whatever, a date. We're trying to step out of the working relationship and into the romantic relationship. That boundary, that line gets very blurry fast.
Yeah.
So I think that's something. It's important to talk about it and also to trace it from the beginning. And I also believe it takes a lot of different type of communication. If, let's say, it's just an example, but if there's a stressful situation, you got a customer that is, yelling at you on the phone, and then maybe you had some influence in that situation, and then it's really easy to bounce back on a very personal level.
Sure.
And that situation is professional in nature, is not personal. So that can erode the relationship fast as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you're talking about that I've already come to see.
Yeah.
And the reason I started helping was one, I had more time and it was helping me in thinking about my new business.
Mm-hmm.
But we realized that she's really like a big picture, like an ideas kind of person, creative.
Nice.
I'm really more of an operations person. So I can take that idea that she has and, okay, this is how we're going to do it. Provide a little bit of structure for her who tends to go the other way of, too much not structured to where not being able to really focus on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of benefits and compliments that those two have.
Yeah.
Similar to you guys with the COVID, I'm sure, maybe you guys have just experienced this as well. But because we're nomading, one, I used to work at a 9 to 5 and I used to go to a co-working space.
Mm-hmm.
So we always had this time apart. Then I lost that. I was at home more. I tried to do hobbies, but I was at home a lot more. She would work from home.
Mm-hmm.
Then we start nomading. So we can go to places maybe like this where we know people, but sometimes you don't know a lot of people. And so sometimes you're just spending like all of your time with your partner as a nomad when you travel. So your partner is your best friend, your romantic partner, your therapist, now your business partner. You're spending all that time and maybe you're not making enough of an effort to get out.
Yeah.
And little things, that line gets crossed all of the time with the business. So I appreciate you opening up on that. And it's something that I think now that I start the new one, I think it's going to help a lot. I'm, getting into a co-working space and getting back kind of those boundaries that we had before, but really being intentional about this is the work time, this is not. I think that's going to be really big and it's going to be a journey for us.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, we mentioned a lot, but do you know how many businesses that you've started to this day?
I need to think. It's, I would need to count them. Let's, okay, just give me 1 second. 17. Yeah. 17, and most of them didn't work out.
Wow.
Right.
So I knew it was going to be a lot after you had to take the pause to count, but that's wow. And how many are active right now?
Well, that depends on how you count it. I would say one. So the e-commerce, for me, it's like a big umbrella.
Okay.
You can also say e-commerce as the brands and the proper e-commerce shops, and then the community and the academy that I'm working on as well. So 2, 1, 2.
Okay.
It's a blurry line.
Yeah. Wow. That's kind of crazy. 17 that failed, sold, moved on from.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you sharing all the lessons from, and we hit on a lot, but I'm sure there's even more lessons that you probably took from each one. So Alvaro, a lot of the people that listen to this are what I call on the highway of life. They're at an underlying job or in an underlying lifestyle. And kind of it's part of the norm, right? Like you get into the 9 to 5 and you kind of know where you're going. There's a lot of signs along the way, you know, a lot of rules on the highway, and they're curious about exiting to the dirt path, maybe creating their own business. One common thing that can be a problem for somebody is they know that they want to create their own business, but they don't know what that business should be, right? Maybe they have lots of ideas or little ideas. I'm curious, if you started 17 businesses, I'm assuming you're pretty good with ideas, and I'm not sure how they come to you or, you know, how that starts, but I'm curious what your advice would be to somebody who knows that they want to start their own thing, but maybe not sure on the actual ideas, or any exercises or anything that you've done to really get clarity on that?
Yeah, that's also a very good question. So I would say start with the problem. Just if you really have no idea whatsoever, I'm usually the opposite. I tend to have a lot of ideas. I still have a list of businesses that I want to start, products that I want to launch, services that I want to offer. So whenever I see something, I'm like, that's a problem. It's or for us that move that much,
Yeah.
we see like, wow, they, you know, in China they do it this way, in Thailand they do it this way, in Guatemala they do it this way, and then you start noticing, oh wow, this service, which is very established in whatever country, doesn't exist in this other country. So you can get a lot of ideas from that. You sometimes, I think there's a tendency of focusing on creating something entirely new. Sometimes that's not necessary. Sometimes it's just tropicalizing the idea, moving it from A to B, and doing that. The problem sometimes is it's very similar. Maybe you need to, you know, adjust some of the details. But yeah, so that's one thing, just getting ideas from different perspectives and putting it in a different setup. The other one is starting from problems. And I think at the beginning it might be a little tricky, but then if you start paying a lot of attention in where's the friction point in daily routines, what doesn't exist yet that would make my life more comfortable, which kind of service, which kind of app, which kind of product, which kind of knowledge that I have could improve someone else's life. Knowledge is a product as well. So I think it's something that it's overlooked often. How much we know. And I think that's also, there's this concept of imposter syndrome, in which you're saying, and I told myself so many times, you know, I know how to do e-commerce, but I'm not a 7-figure seller, for example. Who am I to tell other people how to do it? And I remember thinking, okay, you know what? I'm just going to share what I know. Turns out it's helpful.
Yeah.
So I think that's also important to consider your own experience and knowledge as a product as well. And there's people interested. can be anything. And also, I would say sometimes we don't need to start from scratch. Sometimes an alternative to starting something new is to buy something that is already working. There's this big culture of boring businesses, for example, and there's plenty of them that can be managed remotely. There's plenty of them that if you structure it correctly, it pays for itself. So I think those kind of lines of thought can also help. And at the end, I believe in whichever perspective that you wanna take, it's just training. At the beginning, it might be like, oh, I have no idea what's the problem, and start looking at your daily life and your routine, and maybe you don't find anything. And then if you pay enough attention long enough, you start getting ideas. And then the main thing is to be like very consistent in writing those ideas. I got a Notion app and then a Notion list where wow, this is an interesting thing. Just write it. Get back to it whenever you're ready. So I think that's a methodology that could work.
I love that. Lots of actionable tips for people, which I really appreciate. Alvaro, I appreciate you agreeing to come on. I've learned a lot about you, and I'm definitely going to be re-listening this for myself to get a lot of advice as I'm starting my new venture. So I really appreciate you being so open as well and showing the realities of entrepreneurship and your journey. Where can people go to, we'll put in the show notes as well, but where can we go to follow you, connect with you? Where's the best place for that?
Yeah, I am working on my update on LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
So I think that's going to be the way to go. So yeah. Thanks again for the invitation. I think it's a great initiative. I think entrepreneurship it's a very fulfilling lifestyle, and especially if you get this freedom of being able to move around and decide how you want to live your life. So I'm really happy that you're inspiring people and sharing these experiences and lifestyle.
Thank you, man. Last question for you. Why the dirt path? So we've talked a lot about some of your struggles on the entrepreneurship journey. We didn't even get into, I'm sure you've had a lot of struggles on the Nomad journey, but you've done things very, very differently in life. You took the 3 years of backpacking. I'm sure that wasn't easy. But why continue to do it? Why continue to take the dirt path yourself? And what advice, if somebody is considering making this change, what would be the thing that you would tell them if they have this idea or this thought to do?
Yeah, I think that's a very, very personal perspective. In my case, I evaluated different roads, and I noticed that the highway, it has a lot of advantages, and it's perfect for a certain type of personality. It's not mine. So for me, the highway, it's not enough, and I noticed that there is no way which is already built that it's exactly what I need. So I need to make my own road, and that's the reason. So I think it requires a certain type of personality. It might be just a phase. For me, it took years of backpacking to really, commit and understand that this is the life that I want. So I'm going to do everything I can to make it possible. There's a lot of people that they just start and they say, okay, it's enough. I had enough, and I rather just settling down, and it's perfectly fine. Right now, I haven't gotten to that stage. That might happen in the near future. But then creating the path that allows me to settle down whenever I want, whatever I want, it's for me the major motivation. Yeah.
Alvaro, appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for the invite. It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Dirt Path podcast. You can find any links to support or follow today's Trailblazer in the description below. If you got this far and really liked today's episode, it would mean a lot if you could give us a 5 stars wherever you found this podcast, subscribe and like on YouTube, and email us. Email us at thedirtpathpodcast@gmail.com to give us feedback, to give us an update of you on your own dirt path, or to send us questions, as we might be doing some Q&A episodes in the future. All right. We'll see you next time here on the Dirt Path.
Saw the exit sign flash by, a whisper in the breeze said, take a chance, don't wonder why, just follow where it leads. Oh, the dirt path, it ain't easy, no map to guide the way. Slow and hard, sometimes uneasy, you stumble through the clay. No signs to tell you where you're bound, no traffic to obey. But every step on broken ground builds something great someday.